This is Tyler Lewis here with Being on Hoops. We're honored today to have Coach Allewalt with us from Washington Impact. Thanks for joining us today, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. This year's been crazy along with COVID. You guys got a late start to the season. How do you feel like the season has gone so far for you guys?
I mean, when we get a chance to play basketball, I think it's been going really well. Having these cancellations or postponements due to, regulations that are placed upon us has been a real challenge. And I feel like as the season progresses and you have a certain amount of time to play a certain amount of games, now it's starting to get really important because now if you get into any cancellations for quarantine, you have a chance of losing ball games. So hopefully we'll get them all in. But, as far as the preparatory things have been going, our team's been doing really well. We've been staying focused, losing games here and there. It's easy for high school kids and to get dislodged a little bit because we want to play games. But for the most part, we've stayed focused and we're looking forward to just, getting all these games in.
And I feel like that's the hardest part right now for these high school kids because they have such a unique schedule. No one's really been through this before. Like they not really in class. It's hard to be like, oh, when's my next practice? Is this game going to get canceled? It's a lot of adversity this year. And I think a lot of these kids don't get enough credit for the adversity that they had to be dealt with. But as you said, like you're playing games, so you got to be thankful and just hopefully none of the games for the rest of the year gets canceled. This Friday, you'll have a huge game versus Kinston. How do you feel about that game and what does that game mean to you?
From a conference standpoint, it means everything. I mean, I've been on record on other things and have said and given the most respect to the Kinston basketball program. The consecutive years of success that they have had has been amazing. And for us to have an opportunity to compete against them on a yearly basis, it truly is an honor. I mean, everyone knows the rich history of Kinston, the type of players that have come through that program, success that they've had with state championships, conference championships, and things of that nature. So, I know I speak on behalf of all our guys in our school is that we're honored to be able to get on the hardwood with them.
They have, like you said, such a rich history. Kinston is known for their basketball. They do a really good job. I mean, they built a winning culture there, and it's a winning culture year in and year out. And just the amount of players that come through Kinston is really special. Like per capita, I think they produce like the most NBA players and Division I players per city. I mean, it's just crazy. How do you feel about your team, and how just take me through a little bit of your players as well?
I really like this bunch a lot. I mean, we have a lot of experience coming back. I think like a real good strong suit for us is we're very guard oriented, but our guards are experienced, which means our bodies are developed. We're strong. The game slowed down a little bit for us. So, our attention to detail has been really good thus far this year. So I'm really high on a lot of things that we've done thus far. And, we have goals and every year we set goals for ourselves. And I let the team do it. We send 10 goals that we want to do to be successful. And, I let the guys do it in the locker room before the season starts. And I use it as an accountability tool. And so far, these guys they've lived up to everything that they've wanted to accomplish so far this year. So, going into this game on Friday, we've already played them once and we've had some good success in that first game. And I know this second one's going to be, a little bit more intense and a little bit different, but I think our guys are ready for that moment.
No, that's awesome. Like you said, you had success with them in game one. Game two is going to be a little bit different, but at the same time, the second time around, you still got to do what you did the first time around, and it's gonna be really fun to see on Friday night. This is your second year at Washington. What does that whole community, the school, mean to you?
Well, it means a lot. First of all, Washington has a rich basketball history. That report that just recently got released about the greatest high school basketball team in North Carolina State history was the 1979 Washington Impact with Dominique Wilkins. So just to have that label placed on our school, you have to have some sort of expectations for yourself to be able to live up to the rich history that this school has had in recent years. So it means a lot to me. I'm ultra competitive and and it means a lot to wherever I coach. But this place is a little special to me for the simple fact that my better half graduated high school from Washington, so I'm coming back to her alma mater, and I'm doing the best that I can to live up to the name of what Washington Impact athletics are all about.
No, that's awesome. And like you said, you're building on something with such a rich history. I mean, it's truly special. What do you think, like from like this, you said you worked another job in sales, but when did you really get into coaching?
I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I've lived there a majority of my life, and this isn't a new gig for me. I'm almost on 20 years of coaching high school boys basketball. So, I think it started with, the tutoring that I had when I was an athlete in high school. I worked and learned basketball from two very, very great basketball minds in the state of Maryland. Gentleman by the name of Dick Hart, who was my high school coach, who he's no longer with us, but over 500 wins at the high school level. And then I've had, an opportunity to pick the brain of a gentleman by the name of John Brady, which behind Morgan Wooten is probably the second all-time winningest coach in the state of Maryland high school basketball. So if you put those two guys together, I'm looking at 1,200 career wins that I feel like I've learned the game of basketball from, and I'm very blessed to have had that opportunity not only play for one but learn from another.
No, that's awesome to have like such role models in your life that you can look up to is truly special. When did you kind of first fall in love with the game?
I played in high school, so I've always loved the game since the moment I was able to play it. I didn't play college ball or anything like that, but I had some success at the high school level, and I've always been a really, really super competitive person. And as age catches up with you, and it hasn't hit you yet, I see your training videos and stuff, but it's definitely hit me a little. And you have to have a competitive edge towards something to get through every single day, and at least I do anyway. And by transitioning into the coaching game, you're able to teach kids, good work ethic, discipline, structure, accountability, and it allows me to be competitive through their eyes, and I love that. I didn't think, coach, one day that I would be so gung ho over seeing the success of others more than what success I had when I played. But I get much more joy out of watching these kids be successful, and I get so excited to see where these kids land in the future. It's a blessing. It really is.
No, it definitely really is a blessing. Um, why, what is your why? Like, why do you coach?
Uh, for the kids. It's for the scholar athletes. You know, if people know me like some people do, they know that I'm always talking to teachers in class. I'm always making sure the kids do well in the classroom. I'm always teaching them like things on the court, like our playbooks, thick, and it's like I try to prepare these kids, not just sports, but it's everything that they're going to tackle when they get out of high school. And if I can make a difference to one out of every 10, which, my goal was to connect with everyone. But if I can make a difference with one out of every 10, then at the end of the day, I've done something special. And really that's why I coach high school sports, is to make a difference in these young, mature adults and to prepare them for whatever they do after high school.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of make a great point because I mean, we all like playing at the next level is really hard, but you're being able to make an impact at such an early age, and when these kids really need it, probably the most at that high school level, that's going to set them up for something so much bigger than the game of basketball. They're setting them up for like raising a family, getting married, having kids one day. Just being out in the real world, and you're really able to make an impact on these kids' lives, which is truly special on your daily basis. What is your like daily motto or mission statement for your team?
Work hard, pay attention to detail, and hold each other accountable for your actions. I think that's what builds a good nucleus for a strong basketball team. As a coach, you could sit here and preach to these kids all the time, but sometimes when they hear it from other players about certain things that need to be done to be successful, they learn to be more accountable towards each other, which in turn like builds a family, builds a culture, and that's something that is so important if you're going to have success with any sort of team sports.
You're right. But you talked about building a culture and in team sports, but just building a culture in general. We kind of hit on it with Kinston a little bit, just like the culture that they have. I mean, it's much more than basketball, and I know you're building it there at Washington. And you talked about just working hard, accountability, and not only you got to hold yourself accountable, but at the same time, you're holding other people accountable. But you can't hold other people accountable unless you hold yourself accountable.
True, very true. And that's, if you look at all the great programs, it really, starts with Kinston because they're in our conference and in Eastern North Carolina, a basketball program that's got and has had national spotlight with their players. But if you look at any successful programs, like if you don't have the basis of what you need to be successful, you don't withstand year in and year out of having constant success. There's a lot of programs that have 1 year, 2 years of greatness, and then they go away for a little while, and then they come back when they get talent and whatever. But it takes a special core to build a program, and it's just not with myself being the coach. It's with who you surround yourself with. Your assistant coaches are super important. Your administration at your school is super important. They have to support the things that you're doing. Your principals have to support things, and you have to buy into what their ideals are. And build this whole thing as a core. And then, one of the more important factors too is, you have to have the trust of the parents and the players. They have to believe in the things that you're doing, and you have to have the off-season stuff in place. So there's just so much things that go on behind the scenes that people people recognize it and realize it, but they don't see it sometimes. It takes a lot of things to make culture right, and it doesn't happen overnight. So that's what we're trying to do, and it's going to take a grind year in and year out to get that. But once you get there, it's like everybody says, it's hard to get to the top, but it's harder to stay at the top. And that's kind of like what we're building towards. And we're just so fortunate that, in my first 2 years that we've had great kids, hardworking kids, great teachers, support staff. Everything that goes into it has been really, really top notch thus far, and I'm absolutely 100% satisfied with the way everything's gone up until this.
No, that's awesome, and the kids help you as a coach out just as much. If they're great kids, it's a lot more fun to coach, a lot easier to coach, and you're able to get a lot more out of them. And my next question to you is, every coach has like that do-over moment that they wish they could do, or do you have a certain time in your coaching career that you wish you could have done something better, or you wish you could have a redo at it?
I think personally, from a coaching standpoint, I think when you rewatch every game that you've ever coached in, always going to have moments where you wish you would have done things different, because at the end of the day, if you're in this profession, then you're going to beat yourself up more than you'll ever beat the kids up, because if you're really responsible for the things that you do, it starts with yourself. Yep. And then you spread that throughout the kids to make those adjustments and changes. But I'm never going to blame a student athlete for costing anybody or anyone any success. It's always going to be internal with me. Yep. And once I assess that, I'll go ahead and make those adjustments as a whole. And I live with those decisions, and you have to. So I don't have one moment where I wish I did things over again. I've had 1,000. So.
No, that's one of the best answers I've ever got on that question, because, but it's good. What's been your favorite basketball moment, whether it's from a basketball, like from your playing days in high school, or when you first fell in love with the game, or through coaching? What's been your favorite basketball moment?
Just the camaraderie of having big wins in the locker room. I tell the kids all the time, 20 years from now, you're probably not going to remember what the score of a game was, but you're going to remember something funny that happened on the bus, or some magical moment that happened in the locker room. They're the things that you remember the most for playing high school sports.
Yep.
So I don't have one crazy moment. I just, class of 2010, walking in the locker room and seeing people come around smiling, or the class of 2020 getting a water cooler bath after the instant win for the first time in school history. Like it's an ongoing process with me. I enjoy everything. And look, these kids will tell you I'm a tough cookie. Like, I am easy to get along with in practice. I am tough on them. But I'll tell you what, I'm passionate about what I do, and I would do anything for these kids. And at the end of the day, to see them have any sort of success, whatever whatsoever, is that's that's what I do it for. That's what I
Yep.
do it for.
And you kind of hit on it first too, of like these kids aren't going to remember like in 20 years. Like I know looking back, I just graduated high school 8 years ago, and I can't tell you the score of any of those games. I can't. But I can, like you said, I can tell you the times that we spent on
Right.
the bus, the hotel, or whatever, wherever we were at. I can tell you those moments because those were the moments that carry on for a lifetime. Basketball is just like, yeah, it's something we love, but it's not our main thing in life. Like,
Right.
there's
It's a privilege. It's
it's
a
a
privilege.
yes, and I think that's what's so special about you and what you're saying, that I hope people, when they listen to this, just understand it. And then you talked about how you're not a, like, I mean, how you're a tough cookie, but I feel like from the outside looking in, these kids respect you because they know how much you care. Like there's a quote that I kind of go back to. It's like, no one knows how much you know until they know how much you care. And you're
Right.
allowed,
That's right.
and you're allowed to be so-called a tough cookie because you care about them so much. So no, it's been awesome having you on here. Excited about Friday night. I think my brother's going down there Friday night, so
Nice.
he's really excited to come down there. And I know the Hoop State guys are covering the game and streaming the game, so it's gonna be really fun. And
Well,
look
well,
forward.
I think this interview probably would have went way better because I'm working now, so I'm sitting in the car. But I should have put my hand up like I was on the steering wheel, like I was driving while I was talking and maybe gave a little shake here and there. Really got everybody concerned about how well I could drive and do an interview at the same time. But no, I'm great. Thanks for having me. Any chance I can, talk about our program and talk about our kids or just sport in general, like I'm very honored, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to reach out to us. And we're excited about Friday at the Hoop State, and we're excited about another opportunity to play Kinston, and we're just ready to get things going.
Well, thanks so much, Coach. I know you're only in your second year there, but I hope continued success down the line and keep building on that rich tradition that you guys have down there. And I look forward to it, and good luck the rest of the way.
I appreciate it. Go Pack.
Go Pack. There you go. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
No problem.